guys, welcome back to Linda's Pantry, and I couldn't be more excited today than to bring you this video. I have been wanting one of these Pullman pans forever because I've decided I'm not going to buy store-bought bread for our sandwiches anymore. I'm going to do my own, and it really only takes a few minutes every other day or every 3 days for you to do it. And any of the leftover bread, you can make bread pudding, you can do all kinds of things, croutons. So essentially you're saving a lot of money when you have all those other products that can come from your homemade bread. So I finally jumped and I ordered a Pullman bread pan. And then I went to, and it's not going to be here till the 27th. But my daughter texted me yesterday and said, "Mom, your package got delivered," and I said, "Well, it's freezing cold. I'll get it in the morning on the way to work." Guess what she got me? She got me a Pullman bread pan, and I'm so excited. I wish I could share bread with her, but if you're not familiar with these, they make a more dense loaf. It makes a perfect sandwich, 4 by 4 inch slice, so it makes a nice sandwich, and the bread is moist. It's I've heard so many good things about it that I really want to try. And so it was my week for gifts because I am always on the King Arther website looking at recipes. And so I was like, okay, I got to pick which recipe I want. And then I went to the mailbox the day before yesterday. And look what I got. It's the King Arther, or the King Arther Baking Companion. Oh my gosh. And so I'm like directly in the bread. I've already got earmarked pages that I want. But the first one that I'm going to do is the Vermont oatmeal maple honey bread. That sounds delicious. And it really looks easy. The only thing that I had to go to the store for was some maple extract. And it's an imitation extract. I'm sure you could use maple syrup instead, but we'll try it this time. If we don't like it, then we'll try it next time. We'll try it with the maple syrup, because I do have pure maple syrup, but it calls for, it calls for a teaspoon of maple flavor, optional. So we're gonna go ahead and use it. So you get 2 1/4 to 2 1/2 cups of boiling water. Boiling water. So let's do 2, and this is not a left-handed. I've got it right at 2 1/3. We'll split the difference. And you're going to add a cup of oats, and you want the old-fashioned oats. And the reason you've got it in the boiling water is to soften these. Otherwise, they would end up hard and not palatable in your bread. So you're gonna let these soak until this water comes down to lukewarm. Then you can add your yeast. But we're gonna go ahead with the other stuff it calls for to go in there. If I can find my measuring spoons. It calls for, let's see, it calls for a half a cup of brown sugar, half a teaspoon. So we'll do the half teaspoon of the maple flavoring. And I will leave a link in the description box below. Just hit show more and I'll leave a link to one of these Pullman pans and this book. Thank you, Heather. This was so very sweet. What a sweet surprise. I was not expecting that at all. So, gosh, Heather from the Needy Homesteader, she has this book too. Anyways, okay. And then we also need, don't get sidetracked, a tablespoon of honey. Get the best honey you can. I try to buy local honey if I can. This one. Okay, so I've got my tablespoon of honey. That's going in, and I'm just gonna let that go right into the oats in the hot water to rinse that off. Okay, so now we're gonna add a half cup of brown sugar. You also need a half a stick of butter, or 4 tablespoons. And I got mine a little bit soft in the microwave. It's gonna get really soft here in this hot water. So go ahead and stir that in. And we need a tablespoon of salt, and I'm using kosher salt. And let's see here, we need a teaspoon of cinnamon. I am so excited for this bread. I'm super excited. Okay, so there you go. There's a teaspoon of cinnamon. And let's see, is that all that goes in for now? That is it. Now we just let this cool till it's lukewarm, and then we can add the yeast, because if we add yeast to this hot mixture now, it will end up not active. It will kill the yeast. So, and it's still very, very warm. So that, and it softens up the oats, so it's ready to go on with the rest of the recipe. It smells really good, so I'm excited. Okay, I will bring you back when we are getting ready to get this bread. Okay, so now we are ready. This doesn't take that long to cool down, honestly, because all of your ingredients are kind of on the cool side. So it calls for 1.5 cups of whole wheat flour. And I only buy King Arthur's whole wheat flour. My other flour, my all-purpose flour, I do get in bulk at Costco because it's so inexpensive. I can make a loaf of bread for 20 cents. So, but we do have our flour here. And let me get my half scoop. Lose track of what I'm doing out of excitement. So there's that, and then it also calls for about 4 cups of flour, and I am going to get some of that in there. So now that we've got all of our flour in there, we're going to go ahead and add a tablespoon of yeast, and I'm going to get that a quick mix before I add the warm mixture in. It'll help disperse the yeast. And I also buy my yeast in bulk and keep it in the freezer. And there we go. And I never have a problem with my yeast proofing. But okay, there we go. We are gonna get mixing. Super exciting. Okay, I have got my dough out here on the counter, and we're gonna go ahead and knead it. And I was mistaken. By hand, you'll knead this 10 minutes. In a machine, 5 to 7. But I found that most of the time, your dough is ready in less than 10 minutes. And I don't want to continue to add too much flour in here. I just want to keep it from sticking. So guys, I didn't hit the record button, and all I've done is I had my my dough doubled in size. I timed it. I let it rise in that bowl in the oven for an hour. Then I took the saran off, deflated the dough. I've taken about what I felt like was 1/4 of the dough and put it in my cast iron loaf pan here. And we're gonna make 2 loaves because I think this recipe, it calls for it makes 2 loaves of bread, and like an 8 by 4.5 inch loaf. This is a 13 by 4.5. So I don't want to overfill this pan. So I'm playing with the recipe at this point. So the saran that I took off the bowl, I went ahead and sprayed with cooking spray so it's non-stick when this rises up. And then I put the rest of the dough down here and pressed it down into the Pullman pan. And we are ready. Now, I'm gonna slide the lid onto that. Now, I do preheat my cast iron because they get really cold sitting in the kitchen. So I put them in the warm oven while the dough was rising, the first rise. That way the pan's not ice cold. And same with this. I didn't think this needed to be ice cold either. I did grease the inside of this with butter, even though it's not necessary, but it's gonna give it a great flavor. So this gets to rise for 1 hour, and then I can't wait to bring you back so I can show you what it looks like and give you a taste test as soon as it's cooled down. Okay, so I'm gonna bring you in. You can see this is filling up this bread pan very nicely. I'm gonna let this continue to rise. I've got 20 minutes left on my timer of rise time, but when I open the Pullman to take a peek, it's already touching the lid right there in the center. So I'm gonna put this in the oven. It is done rising, and I'm gonna put a note in my book with the Pullman. It only takes 40 minutes to rise, and maybe even 35. Okay, so it's going in a 350-degree oven. It's already preheated, and it's gonna bake for 35 minutes, 30 to 35. All right, we'll be back. Ooh, I'm excited. And I'll put this one in. Okay, so our bread is done. This actually, I put it in there for 30 minutes, then I kind of took a peekaboo, and it didn't look quite brown enough, so I went ahead and put it in for 5 more, because it did say 35 minutes. The internal temperature of your bread should be around 198, somewhere in there to 200 degrees for it to be done. But we're gonna go ahead, remove the lid, and it just slides off. And I was worried that it was gonna continue to rise, but it did not. So it's perfect, or at least I think it is for my first try with a Pullman. Look at, okay, I'm gonna turn it out here. Oh, beautiful. Boy, talk about non-stick. And these are beautiful. Oh my gosh. And I am not cutting into this. This is basically, you've got almost a crustless bread. I'm not gonna cut into this. I am not gonna butter it. The cast iron pan is still in the oven. It's got 10 more minutes to go, and then we'll bring it out and let it cool. And when these have completely cooled for at least an hour, it's gonna be really hard because it smells really good. You can see all the oats in there, and I smell cinnamon, a little bit of cinnamon, and maybe even the maple. Maybe that's what's hitting the sweet note. I can't wait. It's gonna be delicious, I'm pretty sure. But any King Arther recipe that I've done before has been outstanding. So guys, I've got the 2 loaves, and this one's had a chance to cool down enough. I'm actually, I wanna cut into both of them to see the difference, but then again, I don't wanna lose any of the freshness. So, and I know that we're gonna eat the sandwich loaf. I might gift this loaf to somebody if it's really good, and I'm sure it is. We're talking King Arther. And I was trying to figure out where I would put my King Arther cookbook here, my Baker's Companion. And for right now, I'm gonna leave it parked right here as a reminder that all I have to do is grab it. I love that. Okay, it still smells so good, but I don't feel any heat from this. So if you want me to bring you in, I can. I'm going to cut the heel off here. And I don't have one of the bamboo bread slicers. I may have to put that on my wish list. But I can tell you it feels very soft. Oh my gosh. It's the perfect crumb. Oh, I definitely have to bring you in close. And I've got to get the butter ready. Because you know I'm going to want a piece with some butter. Okay. So we'll come in close. I'll show you what I got. And oh my goodness, just smelling. You can smell the maple, just a hint in the background, and a little bit of the cinnamon. Oh my goodness. Okay, come on over. Okay, so I have to just show you the crumb. Look at that, it's beautiful. It's absolutely perfect for a sandwich bread. I love, love, love the way it looks. I love the way it smells. And I'm gonna go ahead here and cut a slice that I would use thickness wise for a sandwich. And you can tell that there's some, oh my gosh, it's absolutely beautiful. Look at that. It's beautiful. Who wouldn't want that for their sandwich? And it's the perfect size. Oh, good Lord. Okay, I need to take pictures of that, but first I need a taste test. And I'm sure the crumb is a little bit more airy on this other one, although I didn't let it rise to a point that it should be too lofty and too many air holes. Because if you're trying to do a sandwich loaf, you want to make sure that it's dense enough to hold whatever you're putting on your sandwich. So here we go, taste test. Oh my gosh, let me pull that apart for you. Look at that. Oh wow, it's soft. I can taste just a hint of the maple and a hint of the cinnamon, just like you can smell in the background. It's not overwhelming at all. Be delicious on any kind of sandwich. The bread texture is fantastic. For a wheat bread, yum. In my opinion, this is peanut butter and jelly worthy. And you know what that means. It means it has to just be that soft peanut butter and jelly worthy bread. All right, guys. So I hope it inspires you. I'm going to quit eating this or I'm going to eat the whole thing. I hope it inspires you to go ahead and check the links below, because I'll have a link to the Pullman bread pan. And if you haven't gotten one of these, I totally endorse that. It was well worth the Amazon wish list I had it on, and my patients were not as good as they should be, and I ordered myself one too. So anyways, what a great gift, and I love this. I can't wait to follow up with some more bread recipes for you and let you know what I do. And like I said, I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to gift this loaf, because yeah, who doesn't love a fresh baked loaf of bread? All right, guys. I can't wait to see you next time for another delicious recipe. And if you haven't already gone down in the About section below, go check the links that I've left for you. And look, I've got my mailing address. I've also got my Zaycon link where you can go sign up for free to get deep discounts on bulk meats. And I better leave a link to this cookbook too, because this recipe is outstanding.